Looks like we're live. Just gonna check the sound to make sure it's coming through. Unlike last time, I think I finally figured out the problem. Okay, good. Alright, welcome back, folks. Just ran into some interesting results here, so I wanted to quickly share this. And I know that this is a very impromptu live session, but I thought, hey, this will be recorded and this will stay on YouTube, so why not? Those of you that can join, welcome. And those of you that can't, can watch it later. Okay, so there is the chat box if you are joining. What are we doing right now? We are going to look at the MacBook i9 Pro and the MacBook Air with the M1 chip. I've got both of them here. Here is the big one, is the i9 Pro. This is the 2019 16-inch, and this thing has 64 gigs of RAM. Here is the new 16 gigabyte MacBook Air with the M1 chip. Interesting results. So let's get into it. I'm going to run a couple of tests. One is going to be, I'm going to just code up a JavaScript function and execute it in the Chrome browser and Safari browser, and we'll time it to see how long that takes. I'll do it on both of these machines. Then I will run a quick benchmark test. It doesn't take that long to execute, but it's basically a website, and it tells us how long the execution took, and it gives us a score. It's called browserbench.org. Interesting results. So let's begin, shall we? All right. And again, if you have questions, go ahead and type them in over here in the chat. We've got Satyam says, big fan. Thanks, Satyam. Appreciate you coming on at short notice like this. Hi there. All right, let's start. So here's the MacBook M1 Air. We will kick things off over here. I'm gonna open up Chrome, and let's open up Developer Tools. I don't have the shortcut here, so I'm gonna need to open this up here. More tools, Developer Tools. All right. And I do have the code I want to run, so I don't have to type it all out. Here it is. Let's copy that, and I'm going to paste that in here. Okay, so right now I got Chrome, and I got this function, which is going to basically execute a for loop and then time it. Let's set this up over here as well. Oh, you guys didn't see that, did you? Sorry about that. There it is on the M1 Air. I am going to make this font a little bit bigger so you can see that. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to also set this up on my MacBook Pro right over here. We're going to start off with Chrome and then get to Safari as well. Do I have the shortcut here? Yes, I do. Excellent. Okay, so there's the console. I don't think I have this code typed out here, but I'm gonna just quickly type out the code. It's basically just gonna execute a JavaScript function in a loop, and it doesn't matter what the body of the function is. I mean, it does matter, of course, but for our purposes, it's just gonna still take some time to execute this because we're doing so many iterations. And we're gonna do, let's say, 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000. What is that, a billion? A billion iterations. Console.time. Console.time is a nice little function. It basically, you can start a timer, a built-in timer, and then you can call time end at the end. So console.timeEnd, and we give it the same exact parameters. So it has to be a string with the name that matches the initial when you call time, the same exact name. So we're going to do a for loop here. For var, whoa, what am I doing here? It's hard to type this way. I equals 0. I is less than iterations. I plus plus. I'm just typing this out so you know what we're calling. We're calling this function right here called function1 that many times. Pretty simple. All right, so I'm going to copy this. And let's go over here to Chrome. Make it bigger, and I'm going to paste this in here. Okay, we are ready to execute this. And, you know, I can show this to you all at the same time, but it doesn't really matter because they are going to just print the results anyway. So I'll execute these two. And there we go. Here are the results so far. So this is the intermediate results that we have. Basically, on the MacBook Air, we took about 2.7 seconds to execute. And on the MacBook Pro, 1.4 seconds to execute. So the MacBook Pro wins this one. And by the way, I can run this again. And each time I run this, the results are pretty much consistent. So you can see that the MacBook Air is losing this one, at least in Chrome, at least with that type of function that I wrote. And this is pretty consistent. All right, let's do the same exact function in Safari, the native browser that comes, you know, it's an Apple browser. It doesn't run through any kind of Rosetta processor. It actually runs natively on the new M1 Apple chip. So supposedly it's going to be much faster, right? Well, not exactly. Let's begin with the M1. So I'm going to open up the console. All right. Let's make this a little bigger and paste that in there. And I'm going to hit enter and execute that code. Huh. Is it still going? Yeah, wow. That took a while. Let's open up Safari over here on the i9. Do the same thing here. Where's my developer? I don't have my developer menu turned on. Okay, develop. Let's go to... Why is JavaScript console not active? I don't know what's going on with that one. Okay. JavaScript console. There it is. All right, so we can see it. I'm going to make this bigger. Let's paste that code in there and execute it. Takes a while, huh? Wow. It's still going. Still going. Okay. All right, so interesting. These results are not consistent, right? With the Chrome browser, the MacBook Pro with i9 beat the MacBook M1. But with the native Safari, the M1 beat the i9. However, they're both way, way slower in Safari than in Chrome. Both of them. So, interesting results. I'm going to run this one more time just so we can check it out. So I'm going to do this in both of them. Here's this one, and here's this one. All right, let's see what happens here. Okay, M1 finished, and this one finished. Okay, so results are pretty consistent. Here are the results for the M1. We've got about 10 seconds for that execution. And here are the results for the i9, about 16.8 seconds. Okay? So Smiley says, don't you think that the difference in OS version will also affect performance? Yes, probably so. Yes, so right now you got to take this with a grain of salt. I'm showing you the results the way they are right now. Things are very much in flux right now. This is running a different operating system than the MacBook Pro. The MacBook Pro is on Catalina, and the MacBook Air is on Big Sur. So keep that in mind when watching these tests. Thanks for that comment, Smiley. Why is so loud? Says Abdullah. You know why it's so loud? Actually, neither one of these machines is making that noise. Actually, it's my MacBook. It's my iMac that's making all that noise because I'm streaming. While streaming, it's really crunching away all those bits of video, and that's why it's so loud in here. Sorry about that. Okay. One more test I wanted to show you before we call it a day. This is not going to be a long one today, but I did want to show you another test, and this has to do with the benchmark site, and I'm going to run this in all 4 instances, in all 4 combinations. So let's head over to, I'm going to start with the M1 Air. I'm going to close this, and let's head over to a site called, what did I call it? I forgot already. Browser Bench. Thank you. Browserbench.org. All right, they have this thing called Speedometer over here. I'm going to click on that, and they have a test. So just so you know, Speedometer is a browser benchmark that measures the responsiveness of web applications. So it uses demo web applications. It actually uses to-do lists written in all different frameworks. So just very basic web applications, but still it crunches away at different versions, at different frameworks really quickly. So it uses demo web applications to simulate user actions, such as adding to-do items. All right, you can go to this website and you can try this out yourself if you're doing some tests as well. So I'm going to click on Start Test here, and it's going to kick off that test, and eventually it's going to spit out a number, which is like its benchmark score. All right, while it's doing that, I'm also going to head over here to my i9 and go to the same site. Okay, browserbench.org, speedometer, and I'm going to kick off the test here too. All right, so I already have the result ready for the MacBook Air, and the result is 213. And the MacBook Pro is kicking away, executing that test. 213 is actually the highest one I've gotten after executing this a number of times. Pretty nice score from what I understand, considering this speedometer goes only up to 140. So pretty good result on this one. All right, now we're just waiting for that one to complete. Let me see if anybody says anything in the comments. Abdullah ordered his MacBook. Which MacBook did he get? Oh, it's an M1 Pro. Oh, good job, congrats. I think you're gonna like it. All right, folks, here we have the results. MacBook Air, score of 213. By the way, the higher the better. So 213, and MacBook with the Intel chip, 142. So pretty big difference, pretty substantial difference there. This was, of course, on Chrome. Let's do this test on Safari also. I'm going to just copy that URL, open up Safari. Now, Apple claims that Safari is insanely fast on the new M1 chip, and it is pretty fast, but from our previous test that I just ran with you all, The JavaScript execution test, not so much. Okay, start test on this one. That's going pretty fast already. You can see it. Well, I don't know if you can see it. I can see it. It's almost done. I'm just gonna leave it on here because it's almost done and it's going insanely fast. Okay, so a higher score than in Chrome, score of 233 here. All right. Remember, Chrome on the M1, the score was 213. And switching to the Core i9, the Chrome score was 142. Wait a minute. Was that Chrome? Or is that Safari? I think that was Safari, folks. All right, let's do the same thing now in Chrome. I'll go over all the results at the end anyway, just so that I'm not confusing anybody. All right, this one's going really slowly. It's not even a quarter of the way done yet. Let's see if anybody has any questions here. Kazim says, is your Chrome optimized for M1? Let's check it out. While that's executing, I'm going to switch over to M1 here, and let's take a look at Activity Monitor. So let's see. Safari right here, it says its architecture is Apple. And there's Google Chrome, architecture is Apple. What that means is that this version of Chrome that I've installed on my M1 is designed for the M1 chip. How optimized it is, I don't know, but it's as optimized as Chrome is at the moment. So supposedly it is, you know, the one that you're going to be running if you get Chrome on the M1 yourself. Abdullah says, can you also test Firefox, please? I don't have Firefox installed, but I don't suppose that that could hurt. Let's see if we can do that real quick here. Here's a result for you that's going to shock you. Chrome on the Core i9 got a score of 80. That's pretty bad. All right, so here are all the results of this benchmark test. On the Core i9, in Chrome, we got a score of 80. That's on the speedometer. On the Core i9 with Safari browser, we got a score of 142. Pretty good. Just at the top of that speedometer there. All right, now switching to the M1. In M1, in Safari, we got the highest score of 233. Pretty insane. And in Chrome, still not bad, 213. So there's some results for you. We also, in the beginning of this video, we did some tests where we ran the functions, a JavaScript function in the browsers, and that was the complete opposite results. So that was interesting. All right, a browser shouldn't take that long to download, so let's go ahead and grab Firefox and do this test as well. I don't know why I left Firefox out. I just don't use Firefox anymore, so it's not at the top of my list to do the tests on this one. And I'm curious to see if Firefox is actually supported on the M1 natively. All right, let's drag this over here. And it looks like it's already installed. Not too bad. I'm doing the same thing on the Core i9 at the same time, by the way. That one's almost done too. Okay, we've got Firefox, folks. Let's, I'm not going to do the JavaScript test, but I will do the speedometer test because I'm curious to see what that looks like. So let's go back here to the M1 and pop open Firefox. Sure, let's open it. And let's go in here, start test. And while that's happening, oh, that's going really slow. Let's take a look at the activity monitor while we're here. Firefox is Apple. It says the architecture is Apple, so it is running natively on the M1 chip. But it's going really slow. Oh, it's sped up a little bit, but not too terribly. We'll see what the final score is. I'm going to go over here to the Core i9 and do the same thing with Firefox. So open that up. Yes, of course, we want to open it. And let's copy and paste this URL into Firefox and run that test. Okay, so I got a score on the M1 with Firefox. It is the worst score, but it's not so bad. 205 is actually better score than the Safari and Chrome on the i9. So there you go. i9 is still executing the Firefox test. Let's see what happens there. Thetis says, hi there, I'm SC student and wondering if M1 MacBook with 8 GB RAM is enough. Enough for what? If you're going to be doing just plain web development, I think that should be okay. I think the longevity and the resale value of a 16 gigabyte machine would be better for you. If you're just doing plain web development, you can get away with 8 GB of RAM. I would say go for 16. If you're doing anything like, if you're going to be doing mobile development, that's not going to be enough. You're going to need to get something else. And if you're going to be doing any kind of virtualization, if you're running virtual machines, definitely not enough. You need more. Okay, let's review the results. Here's Firefox on the Core i9 compared to, what's this one? Chrome was the worst. Firefox is 118, Chrome is 80, and Safari did the best on the Core i9 with 142. Now on the MacBook Air, we got the best results, and here they are in order. And they really did a good job optimizing Safari for the M1 chip. So Firefox got 205, Chrome got 213, and Safari got 233. So there's all the results, folks. And if you missed the beginning of this video, we did some JavaScript function tests, which gave slightly different results. So just a short one today, and thanks to all of you that joined. If you're not subscribed yet, I really appreciate if you do subscribe. I'm going to be doing some more reviews like this and other tutorials. And thank you very much for joining, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.